What's up, everyone? Welcome to a Mavs Film Room live stream coming to you on Tuesday, December 16th at 10:30 p.m. Central Time. What's up, everyone? Welcome to a little bit under 24 hours after Cooper Flagg's historic 42-point performance against the Utah Jazz. Unfortunately, it was a loss for the Mavericks, but man, what a game for Cooper Flagg. He becomes the first rookie in NBA history to score 40 points or more, eclipsing LeBron James's previous record of, I believe it was 37 points back in 2003. That record had stood for 22 years, but none other than Cooper Flagg broke it last night. Wish it was a win, but what a night it was for the Mavericks, for Cooper Flagg, for their future. Just tremendous stuff. Vinay, we'll start with you. You've been on the Cooper Flagg train, I think, from the beginning of this year. I mean, we all were, but you were really banging the drum that this guy was going to be way better than any of us expected. So I'm sure you felt really vindicated after last night.
Yeah, I mean, after the first 10 to 15 games when the Mavericks weren't playing with the point guard for some of it, there were some overreactions, I felt like, just kind of in the basketball world. Maybe just on Twitter, but I mean, if you watch this kid play, he just has such a great feel for the game that he was eventually going to figure it out. Even with his jump shot, I think he's going to figure that out. But just overall, what he did last night, the straight drives to the rim, like no one can stop him. He knows how to take advantage of smaller guys already. He can make passes out of doubles. You're going to start to see teams double more and more. He's going to be comfortable in those situations. His defense has honestly somehow gone under the radar, but every game besides that Oklahoma City game, he's played it at an all defensive level. I'm going to be pushing the PR train heavy for him if the Mavericks stay in the top 10 for defensive rating, and he's playing all these games, and, like someone should be on that list from the Mavericks, and I think it should be him. So, as a Mavericks fan, there's not much you can't be. I mean, what more do you want to see, I guess? Like, you want to see the jump shot, but I mean, the fact that he's doing all this and he turns 19 in like 4 or 5 days is bonkers. Like, the statistical stuff that Jay said about he's the first, would you say, first teenager to have 42?
Yeah, first 18-year-old to score 40 in an NBA game.
But I mean, like we're blessed. I mean, the fact that we went from Dirk to Luca to this is just crazy. We don't deserve it in the sense that the organization traded away someone they immediately got blessed 4 months later or 3 months later, and this guy is capable of being that level good.
Well, okay, I just want to clarify. I don't know if he's the first 18-year-old to score 40. I because I know that I know that one of these old players, I think it was either Oscar Robertson or Will Chamberlain, someone like that, scored 58 as a rookie, but I'm not sure how old they were. Cooper Flagg is the youngest player in NBA history
There it is.
to score 40 or more in a
Shout
game.
out to our new producer, Caleb Martin, for correcting you on that.
He'd be more effective at that than he would be at playing in the NBA. But Fazil, you also were pretty vindicated last night. I think you had a pretty bold preseason take that Cooper was going to score 40 sooner or later. And it happened last night. What was going through your mind as you watched that unfold?
So I wish I could say that was a preseason tweet. Even if like it happened during the first 10 games of the season when Cooper was the point guard or the de facto point guard, like that would have been awesome. But unfortunately, I only tweeted that like 3 weeks ago when he was already putting up some amazing stat lines. But still, like, I'm going to toot my own horn a little. To say that he would score 40 his rookie season when he's either 18 or 19 years old is still a bold take. But just I've only felt stronger about that take because he said better and better games. I could see the progression. It is unreal to see him progress like this, like on a nightly basis. Um, and of course, even though I did feel in some level very confident about my take, like as if it was inevitable, it was still awesome to see him put up all those buckets. And in my initial tweet from a couple weeks back, I said, with the amount of putrid teams in the NBA, it feels like it's not out of the realm of possibility entirely that Coop will score 40 this season in his rookie year. And look, the Jazz aren't a good team by any measure. Specifically, I would call them putrid defensively, but they haven't fully committed to tanking. They're still playing like all their best guys, Markkanen and whatnot. Keontae George is playing great. But for Coop to still be competitive in a game like this and like, really push them. And I think, with especially with our roster that is so injured, or having guys sitting as it was, it was great to see. Like, he's a real. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody, but he's a true competitor. Panda Hank had a great clip about him telling Lowry Markkinen to shut the fuck up at the free throw line when he missed a free throw. And I was like, that feels like a certain guy that we all know and love. So I'm just thrilled to see him progress. I really do think that the sky's the limit for him. So of course, do I have my opinions on how the rest of the season should go? Yes, but as long as Coop is still playing and he's playing as well as he has been, um, I'm pleased. I gotta say it. I'm pleased.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else you can be than pleased, excited, relieved, just watching Cooper Flagg do a lot of the same things I think that we saw Luka Doncic do in his rookie year. Obviously, they're very different players, but you to watch this development from a guy who came in with a lot of expectations to actually meeting those expectations and then even surpassing them is just another special experience to be able to have. For Mavs fans to see this twice in one decade, I think is pretty remarkable. And I mean, for Cooper to do it really without much of a 3-point shot, I think he made one 3-pointer last night. He's only shooting 25% from three on the season. It's amazing. And yesterday's 42-point performance was without a doubt the highest scoring performance by a rookie in Mavericks history. It was the highest scoring rookie performance since Rodrigue Bobois scored 40 points
Hell
against
yeah.
the Warriors.
Roddy B.
Free Roddy B more than 15 years ago in March of 2010. And in that game, Roddy B made 9 threes. So Cooper did this with one 3-pointer. Rodrigue Bobois did it with 9 back in 2010. Luka Doncic, I don't know what his rookie high was, but he did not, he did not come close to what Cooper did last night. So just remarkable stuff from Cooper Flagg. It really makes you excited. Like when this jump shot comes along, whether it's later this year or next season, just like how good can he be? And that's really the thing that goes through my head every time I watch him.
So how good do you think he can be?
I mean, I think he can be one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best player. I don't see why not. He's got that. He's got so much versatility. I mean, Vinay, you talked about it. Like we've been focusing on the offense and the scoring, and obviously that's what wins games. But the defense has just been super impressive. It feels like every single game he's got one of those weak side, help side blocks. He's able to help under the basket, protect the rim. He generates steals. Like he's just such a versatile defensive player.
He does everything. It's actually like wild. I've never seen. I mean, I talked about it in that scouting report thing I wrote up before the actual draft about how you've never seen a prospect that does it all, but to actually like see it on an NBA floor like this soon already. Like if that 3-point shot comes around, it's terrifying. Like it's almost like he's being nerfed right now by the basketball gods by not giving him that because if he had that, I don't even know what you're supposed to do.
I mean, yeah, if he had the three, like, who would you compare him to?
There's not like I said it before. I don't think there's a good one-for-one comp for him. Like it's like a blend of a lot of different players. Like even Brian Scalabrine, who might be a little biased because they're both from Maine, but he compared him to LeBron, and I know people thought it was crazy at the time, but like the supercomputer brain and like the ability to do kind of everything, like I kind of understood that comparison. So, I mean, you just can't really compare him one by one or 1-to-1 to a different player that's ever played,
I mean,
unless
yeah,
I'm like I don't know missing someone.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to like. I mean, there's elements of different players, like you said, LeBron, Jason Tatum, guys like that. But he is truly his own guy. Like just his ability to get those straight line drives to the basket, those scoop layups, things like that. Like you,
The
yeah,
lefty layup this developed already is nuts. There's a
yeah, I
clip of
know.
Cuban talking about I don't mean to compare the players, but Cuban talking about Luca's rookie year and how every time he shot it with his left hand off for a layup, it would just go careening off the backboard like it wasn't close, and that was something Luca worked on. Like Cooper already has that. I'm not saying like he's better than Luca or anything like that. It's just like the development offensively that we've already seen game to game is crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And I think there's going to be even more room to grow, obviously, with his jump shot. But when Kyrie comes back, you're seeing it in some of these games lately with Nemhard and Coop running a two-man action with Coop screening. I mean, that's just going to be amplified even more when you have one of the best scoring guards ever at that size with Kyrie running that with Coop.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for that because I think then you're really going to see Cooper Flagg be maximized. And there's a lot of moments where Cooper kind of reminds me of Luka with the way that he's able to kind of put the defender on his back and get those tough finishes at the basket with both the right hand and the left hand. It's kind of uncanny sometimes. Or that little floater off the baseline drives that he gets with the foul that Luka never got counted. Cooper's encountering the same thing. The refs are not giving him that call either. So there's a lot of moments where I'm like, wow, it feels like I'm watching Luka right now. But obviously, they're much different players. But it's still just so amazing to see Cooper Flagg develop this quickly. I mean, compare this to what we watched back in October and the beginning of November to now. It's like almost two different players.
Yeah, and he's been doing this with the splint on his hand. I think that should get removed very soon. So I don't think it's any coincidence that his shooting splits decreased significantly when he hurt his thumb. It's mainly the 3-point shot and the free throw. So hopefully, once that splint is off, I don't expect him to shoot 100% on free throws, but I do expect it to climb back up again. So I'm really excited for that. I think, I'm sure he still needs to work on his shot, his outside shot, but it's going to be good to see him have that in his arsenal again.
It's kind
Yeah,
of crazy also how like strong he is already without like a full off-season NBA weight room. He hasn't even had those years in Texas with the Tex-Mex and the barbecue that helps you add a little bit more weight. But like, I mean, all jokes aside, like I don't even know what to say honestly about this kid. Like the ceiling is like we all kind of I don't know. We expect him to be one of the best players in the world, but I mean, if it weren't for Wemby, I think he could honestly be the best player in the world one day. Just full stop.
I mean, there's no reason why he can't be better than Wemby, all things considered. You know, availability I think will probably be something that
Yeah,
could
true.
potentially distinguish himself from Wemby. Obviously, Victor Wembanyama, his peak is something that no other player can do, but there's obviously other factors when it comes to determining the best player in the world. But I don't see why Cooper Flagg at his peak can't be in that conversation. I'll put it that way. Uh, because you see how good he is right now. Um, it's hard
And we're
not to see. Yeah,
theoretically we're theoretically 10 years away from the peak if his prime starts when he's 28. I mean, it doesn't always work like that, but theoretically that's when his prime's supposed to be, and we're it's going to be 2035 when he hits his
yeah.
prime.
Ten years from now, it's crazy. Like he turns
The Mavericks are going to
19 on
have
Sunday.
the Mavericks are going to have four first round picks by then.
I mean, yeah, it's super exciting. I mean, I think it was a very dark period, obviously after the trade last season, and even at the beginning of this season, probably for the first 3 or 4 weeks of the year. But Cooper Flagg has turned what was, a very trying season into something that's truly worth getting excited about. Not just him, Ryan Nemhard. Like finally, this is a team. This is a player worth rooting for. And despite all the damage that the Mavs franchise has done to itself, they've somehow stumbled into another generational talent, and one that you can really believe in. Like Cooper Flagg is that kind of player that we had with Luca. Obviously, with Dirk, we weren't there for his early years, but even at his peak, a player that you had irrational confidence that he could make things happen, that he could carry the team to victory. That's what Cooper Flagg is right now. He's already showing signs of it, and I'm sure he's going to keep doing so as he gets better and more mature.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, that comment that you guys made about failing upwards essentially is just made me remember how the Luca era went with all these moves of shoot the Mavs shooting themselves in the foot with trading for KP and then trading him away, which honestly not the best return, but we still went to the conference finals. Letting Brunson go, of course, that was terrible. Then somehow responding to that with getting Kyrie, with getting Lively, making the trades for PJ and Gafford. Like, yeah, that's legitimately pretty good management right there. And
Shout
making
out
the
Dennis Lindsey.
finals. And then, of course, the biggest shot in the foot of all. And now we have Coop. Like, it kind of boggles the mind.
Yeah, and we just got to hope that somehow they're able to put together a good roster around him despite the limited assets. And
That's the
that's
concerning
yeah.
part, man, because like the Spurs, I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the game today, but they got all these young players around Wemby. And Wemby's already supposed to be that type of player, but like imagine like Dylan Harper reaches his potential, Castle, Vassell, like I want something like that around Coop. And we've talked about it on the podcast before, not to get negative, but we're worried a little bit about how that's going to happen,
I mean, the thing
especially because they look too good right now.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing about teams like San Antonio and Oklahoma City is they were bad for a long time. That's how they were able
Yeah.
to accumulate uh, picks over the years. And you know, Kirk Henderson loves to say bites at the apple. Like they just got more and more looks at players in the first round and the second round, and that's how they were able to get these rosters just full of young talent. Um, and the Mavericks are likely not going to be in that situation because, as we've talked about, this is a 1 year rebuild as they don't, control their draft pick for the next 4 years after this season. So this is really the one season that they can actually try and get someone in the first round, and barring a trade that gets them future first round picks, we don't know what it's going to look like in these future drafts where they either owe swaps to teams or they don't have a pick. So they're going to have to be creative in how they, you know, build a roster around Cooper and try and get some young talent around him too.
That's why whatever they do with Anthony Davis, like you don't just trade him right now for low value because that messes up your rebuild in a way. You also don't hold on to him too long because that can mess up your rebuild in a different way. So I mean that's a huge pivotal whatever happens there that's going to really dictate kind of how the rebuild goes around Coop. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to get traded this year, and I'm not even saying that they necessarily should, but they just have to get a good return for him whenever they decide to do it.
Really, you don't think he's going to get traded this year?
I'm not buying these suitors, honestly. I don't know. I feels like, especially the Shams report on SportsCenter where he was listing all those suitors, like that felt like it was just Rich Paul telling him these teams
Yeah,
to
without a
say.
doubt. Yeah.
Like Detroit's not going to do it, and I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical about Atlanta and Toronto, to be honest with you. But I mean, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Fisher had a report today, and we might as well transition to this now since we're on the topic. But Jake Fisher had a report on some of the AD trade talks, and he said right now there's not much of a market for Anthony Davis because he's played in 11 games this season. He's missed 16.
Damn.
Yeah. So, which means actually, if he misses two more games, he's no longer eligible for awards. Not that he was really in contention for any awards to begin with, but Atlanta and Toronto right now figure to be the teams with the most interest, and the Hawks don't have a package, I think, that would entice the Mavericks. I mean, any trade for Anthony Davis the Hawks would do would be built around Trae Young or Kristaps Porzingis, and Trae Young, I don't think is going to be a target for the Mavericks because they already have Kyrie Irving. That doesn't make sense. And Kristaps Porzingis obviously is dealing with his own health issues right now, to where, like, I don't know, his career is kind of in the balance right now. So again, if the Hawks aren't giving up that New Orleans pick that they have, I don't really see a package that the Mavericks would be interested in. And then,
And
you
if the
know,
Hawks did that, that might be 50% as dumb as the trade we made, but
yeah,
still really dumb.
it would be one of the worst trades in NBA history. And the Raptors, I think, are the most interesting team when it comes to the Anthony Davis trade talks, but it's still, I think, too early to say whether that's the move that they need. Jake Fisher said that they're looking for front court help, but that's pretty general. Like, they obviously will try and call about Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think that there was a local Toronto reporter that also said the Raptors are interested in Daniel Gafford, so perhaps they might be going for a little bit more of a modest upgrade in the front court. So there's a lot of options for them right now, but probably too early to determine whether they're going to be a serious team for Anthony Davis or not. And go ahead, Fossil.
Um, sure. It's just, I mean, based off of Jake Fisher's reporting and what Vinay was saying about how the Mavs kind of have to time this trade, I don't, with respect to AD, you don't want to get too little value for him and you don't want to hold on to him for too long. I don't know exactly if the Mavs front office has the luxury of being able to dictate that. I think they are unfortunately very dependent on the market, on what other teams say. And rightfully so. Like, I wouldn't, if I'm another team looking for AD or possibly interested in AD, it's tough, even though he has been playing well since he finally got back from his very first injury this season. When he's been on the court since then, he's been playing like a lot better, closer to the AD that we all know. But the availability issues will still persist, and he still has like at least 2 seasons left on his contract, like this one next year, and then the player option for 60-ish million. And if not,
Think
if he doesn't take
think
that,
that'll
then
get
he's
picked
gonna,
I
up.
just,
yeah, I don't know if he's gonna pick that up or if he's gonna opt out and ask for more money. But either way, like trading for AD is, if you're another team, like that's not a risk-free proposition at all. Even if you don't give up a lot of assets, there's still like lots of stuff to consider there. It drastically changes the balance of your team. This isn't exactly like the Celtics trading for KP, which is a luxury piece that helped them win a championship. It's like, no, you have to, a lot of money, a lot of resources. You have to fit him into your system. You have to reshape your system. Like it's tough. I wouldn't, it's not exactly an enviable position to be in if you're trading for him or if you're the Mavs. So I do wonder though, because like it's not just AD, but there's a lot of other lucrative pieces that the Mavs have who could be traded, like Gafford or Najee or what have you, which or, Clay, for instance, which I don't know, do you do it like now during the season and do you like risk team chemistry getting disrupted, having players be disgruntled and risk that PR hit, or do you just like wait until the off season perhaps and go from there at the risk of devaluing your own draft pick?
you made a lot of good points there. I think on the note of Najee Marshall and Klay Thompson, for example, like two veteran players who have trade value. Klay Thompson, I'm sure the Mavericks will continue to listen to trade offers for him. I saw it suggested by Mark Stein on one of the DLLS streams that because Klay Thompson has one more year after this on his contract and no, team option on that year, it might deter teams from trading for him just because you're now paying Klay Thompson at age 36, $16 million. So we'll see what happens there. With Najee Marshall, I think you should listen for trade offers on him, but he's making $8 million a year. He's still got one more year after this. He's honestly on a tremendous contract for what he's providing the Mavericks right now. And with him in the starting lineup, you see how well that's worked. I think he could be a piece that they keep around Cooper Flagg. Like, I think he's only 27 years old. Like, he's not an old player. Honestly, I think extension might be what the discussion you should be having with Najee Marshall, but we'll see what happens. But on the note of Anthony Davis, I mean, you made a great point. Like, he's got 2 more years on this deal. The final year of his contract pays him $60 million. I think he's going to be 35 when that happens, or 34. He could opt out, but realistically, who's paying him $60 million? If there is a team out there that's going to pay him $60 million, then that's the team that's going to trade for him and probably extend him, because it's a risky business to trade for AD at age 32, and you project that out to 34. The risk only gets worse at that point. So it's got to be a team that, one, really believes in him, and it's got to be a team that, two, really feels like he can help them immediately. And if they want to extend him, they extend him. If not, they say, like, we'll get what you can out of you now, and we'll worry about tomorrow. And the Mavericks also don't need to extend him if they don't trade him either. Like, that's the thing. They could very well keep him on the roster and go into next season without an extension. They don't have to extend him.
They don't have to extend him. You're right. It'd be really funny though if he went to training camp and did like the Holden thing and just didn't participate over a contract extension when he's getting 2 more years of arguably being overpaid.
I just think it's hilarious how he still got 2 more years on this deal, and we're already talking about an extension. Like,
That's kind of how I mean that's kind of how sports are nowadays. I feel like extension you don't run out your contracts anymore. You get extended early, or if you get your contract run out, it probably means the team's not super interested in keeping you. Just feels like that's the norm nowadays.
and Jamie Cardona 92 in the chat makes a good point. How do they extend Najee with AD on the books? Max Christie is also extension eligible this summer. Yeah, I mean the Mavericks are going to have to um, dump some money somewhere, whether it's Daniel Gafford, whether it's I don't know, Klay Thompson, or God forbid Najee Marshall. Like, if they want to get some extensions done with other players that's not AD, they're going to have to figure out how to reduce their payroll. And I just that's one of the hardest things that that I envision. Like, how are the Mavericks going to do that? There's not a ton of teams with cap room, and the teams that do have cap room or the ability to absorb a player, are they giving you anything of value for your guys? Like, I'm not really sure. And I think that's just an interesting subplot of the entire Mavericks trade deadline here.
Really sucks that Caleb Martin's 8 million is on the books just for no
Him
reason.
too, yeah. Like, he's untradeable. Like, he's probably going to
Literally.
retire a Maverick,
I mean, anyone can be traded, but you'd have to throw in like a first at this point.
which they don't have to. They don't have any firsts to trade. Um,
Yeah.
Isn't Jaden Hardy's on the books for next season as well, right? And at the same time,
And
uh,
D'Lo too.
yeah, D'Lo's got a
they have
player
so many
option,
bad
and I wouldn't
contracts.
ordinarily say he's going to decline it, but who knows? He's been in Kids doghouse this whole year. Like, he hasn't really shown above $5 million level of production. So
I mean, maybe the Nets love him so much that they'll they'll take him back. But I mean, D'Lo, Jaden Hardy. We talked about Klay Thompson potentially, having lower value because of the next year on his contract. Those two guys are in the same boat too. I mean, Jaden Hardy's in the first year of a 3-year extension, which means he's got 2 more seasons
Three?
on his. Yes, and at the time when the extension was signed last year, it was thought to be a good deal. It was a 3-year, $18 million extension, pays him $6 million annually. Now, there's no one who's taking that contract because Jaden Hardy has just become a non-factor.
The
for
third
Mavericks.
year the third year is a team option.
Well, okay, that's good, but that means that I would say the
It's
earliest
basically
they could trade
similar
him is
to
next year.
it's similar to D'Lo's contract. Kind of, they're both 2 for 12 is the best way to look at that.
But
D'Lo
D'Lo's
also has a
got a
player
player.
option.
D'Lo's got a player
Yeah,
option,
it's
which
yeah, I think that'll get picked up unless he wants to make. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
he'll probably take that over making 1 million in Beijing.
exactly. I mean, the most he's going to get next year is a minimum contract. Like, it's a no-brainer to pick up that option, which means that you got to find a team that really loves D'Lo. Is it Minnesota? Is it
It's Beijing.
the Nets?
Somewhere you got to name Chinese Basketball Association teams.
Unfortunately, you cannot trade players to China. I wish you could. I
Oh,
really
not
wish you
trade,
could.
but I was talking about for his suitors.
I know. I wish you could trade players to China. There's at least
For
two guys
D'Lo
I
in
would
the
trade.
for D'Lo in the NBA, because this draft class is so lucrative, maybe one of these tanking teams would like see the value in having a guy like D'Lo on their team. Is your best hope.
Can you imagine D'Lo and LaMelo Ball backcourt?
Yeah, like as soon as I step into basketball hell, that's what I would imagine that.
I mean, yeah, there's several stories. I mean, obviously, the AD trade thing is dominating the discourse when it comes to the Mavericks trade deadline, but just just the amount of bad contracts they have on their books right now is astounding. And we talked about this on one of our last streams too. They have to find a way to sign Ryan Nembhard to a multi-year contract preferably. They can't do that right now. They're gonna have to trade some players. Like, I don't know how they're gonna do it. It's
I think the easiest way is just waiving Dante, which he's on an expiring deal. He doesn't have a year after this, but it's just funny. We had to waive Omax for Dante, and then bam, season-ending injury. Like, he didn't even get to step on the court. But you got to do what you got to do. If that's what it comes down to, it's not really any great loss.
Yeah, they might have to do a little bit more than that. I think Daniel Gafford feels almost guaranteed to be traded, and It's surprising because he really has not contributed at all this year due to his nagging ankle injury. But, on DLLS today, Mark Stein seemed to suggest that despite the injury issues, teams are still interested in Daniel Gafford. And we know that the Indiana Pacers are one of those teams. The Raptors, as I mentioned, are another team that's interested in him. Perhaps there'll be others that come up between now and February 5th as well.
That's not surprising to me just because, I mean, we saw in the finals last year, the Pacers were starting Thomas Bryant, and I forgot their other third string center. Those guys were getting rotation minutes. Like these centers or these teams are in dire need of big man depth. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if a team would call about Dwight Powell either, just to have someone to like throw or to get minutes out there just in the regular season. Absolute worst case as a third depth center in the playoffs. But I mean, both those guys, I feel like I would call about if I had big man depth issues in the NBA.
Can someone call about Caleb Martin? Could the
Yeah,
Miami
it's
Heat call about Caleb Martin?
no, it's the Heat just use up their players, then ship them off, and they don't really come back. Josh Richardson, the same
Josh
thing.
Richardson. That I mean, they signed him last year. I'm pretty
Josh
sure.
McRoberts, the same thing.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. They run those guys into the ground.
I was excited for Josh McRoberts when he was a Mav just because of that Miami Heat tape, and then I was like, oh no, this guy's done for.
Speaking of Josh Richardson, that's like two trades we've made with the 76ers that were disastrous. Obviously, the Martin for Grimes trade, I think, was even worse. But at the time, trading Seth Curry and a second round pick for Josh Richardson was kind of a disaster in a way, too. I mean,
It looked
remember
insane in that preseason, though.
Josh Richardson? I don't even remember at this point.
No, he did play well. I was like totally okay. The trade's a win-win. Like Seth, you're great, but that two-way 3-and-D, Josh Richardson, let's go. Like that's Luca's running mate.
Oh, man. We were so young and full of hope back then. But
And now we're young and full of hope again.
true. But moral of the story is no more trading with the 76ers. That's, I think, it's run its course.
How do you get swindled by Daryl Morey in the 2020s, bro?
The same way you let like an old ass player go off against you randomly, like that's just the Maverick way. They're a career night for players that have no business doing so. I guess the same thing goes for executives as well.
What do we expect with this upcoming stretch of games before the New Year's?
Shit, I don't know. I thought they were gonna win against the Jazz last night, and that kind of threw a wrench in my evaluation of the team because I mean, with the way they were playing last night, even if they won, I would have said that effort is not going to be enough for them to beat the Pistons on Thursday, for example. Like,
If
and
you want to be pessimistic, Polly, man, you can make a case against all of these wins they've had so far. Like Şengün didn't play, Aaron Gordon didn't play, and the Nuggets literally didn't look like they wanted to play basketball that night. I'm not saying that they're not good wins; they were good wins. I'm just saying
but they
there's
did a
like
lot of
always
things.
always holes to poke, I guess, with this team. And there hasn't yet been that sustained stretch of just like, okay, this is a good team. And granted, Kyrie's not here yet, but I don't think there still hasn't been like if they beat like the Pistons tomorrow, like that'd be an impressive win to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, without a doubt. I was just saying that like they had been doing a lot of things right against
No, they have been for sure.
like, but last night, they once again turned the ball over a lot. They allowed the Jazz to shoot 51% from the field. They missed a bunch of free throws. They kind of reverted to a lot of their losing habits from the past, and whether it was a one-time thing, whether that's kind of who the team is. This next stretch will say, but it's just difficult, I guess, to evaluate them with AD in and out of the lineup like this. Like, was last night as good as they can be without AD? I don't know if that's enough to make the determination.
The tough part is Gafford just hasn't really been Gafford. I mean, because he's coming back from these injuries all the time, so we haven't really gotten to see him like at his best. And honestly, last night Dwight Powell was much better defensively. And honestly, this year Dwight Powell has been much better defensively than Gafford, which is crazy to say, but that's just what the eye test is telling me. And like how the centers are going up on the screen and all that different stuff that the Mavericks do. Dwight Powell's been better at it than Gafford has. But if AD is out, like the theory is that you're supposed to have Lively, who's obviously not coming back this season, and then Gafford that are able to hold down the fort a little bit. Like those guys are starting caliber centers, but Gafford, in Gafford's case, he hasn't been playing like that at all. So if AD's missing games, which he will, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, Gafford just hasn't looked like himself. Like he looks like a shell of himself out there. Honestly, it's a little bit sad to watch, and obviously it's due to multiple lower body injuries this calendar year. But hopefully, knock on wood, he's able to get back to his old self. Because right now he just looks heavy. He looks, his athleticism looks zapped. He looks slower out there. He looks like he's really laboring, and that's not the bouncy Daniel Gafford that we're used to seeing out of him. So, hopefully he's not cooked, because the thought has crossed my mind a couple times. Like he might be one of those guys that just falls off a cliff at some point. And he relies heavily on his athleticism, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. But hopefully that isn't the case, and he still has some years ahead of him where he's a productive player.
I mean, with Gafford, I'm not like long term concerned. It's just starting even from going back to preseason. It's been that nagging ankle injury, and like every time he's hurt that ankle or hurt his lower body, whatever, in a game, and it's looked bad, and he's gone to the ground, and he's had to check out, and he either comes back later or he sits out and he
Drives to
sits
the
a couple of
rim, like
games. When he comes back, like it's always been his absences have not been that long, and it's really, puzzled me. I figure I know the Mavs are in a bad place, and obviously players want to get out there and they don't want to sit out. Nobody does. But just for, this is the new and improved medical staff that is being cautious about guys like AD. Like I figure you could extend, and Lively for that matter. I figure you could extend the same, level of caution to Daniel Gafford. Like let him sit for a couple of weeks, legit, and just let him rest and rehab and get properly right instead of being in and out all the time. Again, admirable effort by him. If he wants to be out there, that's awesome. But just like long term for this season, and I guess even beyond, because God knows you don't want to make this actually a long term thing. Um, just take some time right now, especially when the Mavs have already dug themselves in a hole. And then when you come back, like if you can play great, then that's awesome. And if you can't, well, it's not like much was lost on this season in particular.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they definitely need to take the approach with Daniel Gafford, like, you play when you're ready. But this whole thing about pushing him back to return, or him wanting to come back before he's truly ready and then injuring himself again, like that can't happen. And it seems like they took a more cautious approach with him since the last time he re-aggravated his ankle, but remains to be seen. Like it just felt like every single game he's played, he's been on that 17 to 20 minute restriction. And hopefully we can get past that, because if the Mavericks either want to trade him or want to be a more competitive team, like they need him playing like his usual self.
he got cooked in that Mexico City game versus Detroit, if I'm not mistaken, right? Versus Duran, and
Yeah, he did.
we played Duran in a couple of days.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Duren went off in that game. I think he had
AD
like
has to
30
play.
boards. Yeah.
AD better play. And
And
I
like
don't
we've
know
been
if he's
saying,
going to
AD
play.
better play on Christmas. Like that's the game you want to have him for.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a big game if the Mavericks win these games, and I mean, I'm still kind of in this limbo of like they got to tell me what I'm supposed to be rooting for by the end of this month. Like I don't, if you lose all these games, then I'm gonna be on Tankathon every day. But like you win these games, like there's a realistic, like the West is bad. It's not good this year. It's like the worst. Like I'm not saying like the top. Obviously the top is sick, but like in terms of the depth, like from especially what a lot of people thought was gonna happen for the season, like 1 through 10 deep, that's not happening this year. And like if you look at the standings, like 7 to 8 is not super out of reach, but like games lost like last night just kill you.
Yeah, I mean, the Mavericks were 10th in the West going into last night, and now they're down to 12th. Utah is at 10 and 15. Portland is at 11 at 10 and 16, and the Mavericks are at 12 at 10 and 17. But they're still 3.5 games again over, or 3.5 games ahead of the Kings, who are 13th. And they're 3.5 games, or they're 3 games behind the Warriors at 8th. And 4.5 games behind the Suns at 7. So that 7-8 range is still technically in play. But like you said, Vinay, I think the rest of this month is really going to tell us whether that is more realistic or whether, you know, spinning tankathon is more realistic. Right now, the Mavericks have the 8th worst record in the NBA, which gives them a 6% chance at the number 1 overall pick, a 26% chance at a top 4 pick. Those numbers can swing in any direction depending on what the Mavericks do here in the last few games of December.
It feels impossible to even crack that top 5 for picks, right? Like those teams are so deplorable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Washington 4-20, New Orleans who owes their pick to Atlanta 5-22.
Who do they have one of those 4 wins against?
The Nico Harrison Mavericks.
Okay, fair enough.
Not
Fair
this
enough,
dynasty
fair enough.
team, but
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, fair.
but yeah,
That's right.
there's one.
You said Wizards, you said Nets,
I
you
mean,
said
every single
Pelicans.
team ahead of the Mavericks in the tankathon order have single digit wins. 4 wins for Washington, 5 wins for New Orleans, 6 wins for the Clippers, 6 for Sacramento, 6 for Indiana, 7 for Brooklyn, 8 for Charlotte, and then you have the Mavericks 10-17. So those teams are another level of bad.
I don't even know what you could do to get to that level bad because Coop's literally too good, and I also want him playing games. That'd be ridiculous to say sit him down or anything like that. So, I mean, I think they're just going to be hovering in this range unless they push up. I think it's more realistic that they honestly get to 7 to 8 as opposed to crack the top 5. 7 to 8 in the West as opposed to crack top 5 in draft pick odds.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you really got to go for it. Like if you decide that you don't want to tank this year or try to tank this year, then you need to aim for that 7 or 8. Like being 10th. I mean,
No, but you
it's
can
not
get
bad.
no, but this draft is I think there's like 3 point guards after Peterson if you count Peterson as a point guard that'll go top 12-ish. So if you can just stay in that range, that'd be sick. And you
Yeah, I
also
mean,
don't know how the draft is going to pan out. It's super early still, but there's 3 point guards, the one from Houston, the one from Arkansas, and the one from Alabama. I think are all going to go lottery, and you want to be able to get one of those guys if you
yeah, I mean,
can't get lucky.
it would be amazing for the Mavericks to be in that top 5, but even if they're just in the lottery or even in the first half of the first round, I think that they can get a player like that. Just seems to be the way that people are discussing this draft. And so, you know, if that means that you let Cooper Flagg continue to win games for the Mavericks, and maybe not be as bad as some people want them to be, then I think you have to do it because ultimately, like, you want to show him that you can build around him and that he can have fun playing for the Mavericks. Um,
I
and
don't think it's detrimental to the franchise if they made the playoffs, lost first round, even though it's not my preferred situation. Like if you're telling me we're going to be one and done,
yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
rather be in the lottery. But if you get knocked out first round by Oklahoma City, I still think you can get a good player wherever you're drafting.
the thing is, like, if they end up making the playoffs, it's not going to be because they have a bunch of veterans in their mid 30s that won
Well, it'll probably mean that
44
Anthony Davis
games.
played
Yeah,
played
true.
a lot of games.
But I think if that happens, we'll still say that Cooper Flagg is the best player on the team. Like, that's the difference here. It's not like you got a couple of 33, 34-year-old veterans like the Mavericks were doing at the end of Dirk's career when a lot of people felt that maybe they should be looking to tank. They were
Hey,
still.
stay on that side when post February Caleb Martin hits.
I'd love to be on that side if Caleb Martin suddenly remembered how to play basketball in February. But the point I'm trying to make is if they make the playoffs, it's going to be largely in part because of Cooper
No, for
Flagg,
sure.
who'll be 19 years old at that time. Like, that is okay in my opinion. That just shows you like you're going to be really good as he improves and as you
No,
hopefully
Kyrie.
build around him.
If they made the playoffs, also I feel like Kyrie would have a big hand in that too.
Yeah, that too. We haven't even discussed that, but Kyrie getting back is going to, without a doubt, help them win games. And so,
I have a hot take. I know some people want the tank to happen, and they're saying like Kyrie can sit out or he should take his time, like take the whole year. But I'm not. I don't. I'm on Team Tank if I were to pick a side, I guess right now, just off how they play. But they can change my mind immediately, like if they win tomorrow or 2 days, I guess. But if Kyrie, as soon as Kyrie's healthy, I want him to play. I don't care if they win games or what, all that. Like I want Kyrie and Coop to get reps, especially going into next year. That is
yeah,
very important.
definitely. I mean, we've talked a lot about how Kyrie is going to be great for Cooper's development. Like, you want to see what that looks like together. And if you win games, like, so be it.
God,
Like,
that wasn't even a hot take. That was like a refrigerator take.
It was a room temperature take. Like this idea of just completely bottoming out and trading all your good players,
It's not possible.
and trying to be bad, like that idea exists on Twitter, but in real life, like it's hard to do that unless you're a team like Charlotte or Brooklyn, teams that have truly just traded away all their talent and have put all their eggs into getting as many first round picks as possible. Unless you do that, it's really hard to be that bad. And the Mavericks just have too much talent on their roster to be that bad. That's just the reality of the situation. So when people get mad when the Mavericks win games, like it's just unrealistic. You know, it's unrealistic to expect them to be bottom five bad with the team that they have.
I mean, it is. I will agree with that, but just yesterday the Mavs played to win. That definitely was not like a tanking type of game, like not even the coaching. Obviously, everybody who could play played, but that's the issue. They were running with a skeleton crew. A lot of guys sat due to injury, and I mean, it, it's tough. Like I don't know. I don't expect the Mavs recently got healthy, and that's why they were winning. You know, they had a pretty good pace going on these past couple of weeks. But reality kind of struck again. Like AD sat out. I don't expect that to be a long-term thing for the rest of the season, having super extended absences for him because, well, I mean, he'd better not, but just saying like the having the occasional injury they were winning, like, had to sit out and pace going on 2 games at a time. That'll happen. We have to be patient about that. And like, yes, I do expect Kyrie to come back this season. Unlike most seasons, just because it's part of the ramping up process, I do expect him to be playing late in the regular season to get his footing back, like, April games and whatnot. But
Think it'll take
still,
that long?
I mean, I guess, but like when he initially comes back, which is
Oh, I see what you're saying.
whenever,
I see
like
what you're
in
saying.
January, February, something like that. I'm sure he's not going to be playing back to backs or heavy minutes. He's going to be on a minutes restriction, stuff like that. So immediately, I don't know how much Kyrie's going to be helping. I don't know what the Mavs' record is going to be at that time. And if like, you already got some guys lost to season-ending injuries like Lively, I don't know like who is going to be good to go at any given time. I'm sure the med staff is better than it was last season, but is it like objectively good this year? I don't know if we can make that determination. So are guys going to stay healthy long enough for the Mavs to like pick up some internal momentum and chemistry? It's still tough to say. Like so that's why this next stretch of games, I think you were asking Vinay, like what we think what the Mavs are going to do is so crucial. Like if they stay healthy, yes, or healthy enough, yeah, I do think there are winnable games, a lot of them. But if they start losing in bunches, then I don't know. We have to really restart that tankathon, search, like you said.
Yeah, I mean, you made a point that I just
Dude,
zoned out on.
Fazil spits out like 4 good points in his 30 seconds when he
Yeah, he
goes, and it's
does.
hard
He
to
does.
keep up.
He's like, um, fuck. I lost my train
Ooh,
of
first
thought.
curse word.
No, that's not my first, but
No,
I
on the
try to keep it
stream.
clean on here.
Nice. Now there's a delay because you don't know what to say.
It'll
But yeah,
come
I
to
mean,
me. It'll come to me.
this stretch is going to decide the season, I think. Is that maybe it's too dramatic because we'll
No, it's
probably say
not.
that
It's
again.
not. I mean,
We'll probably say we'll say that again in January. This stretch will decide the season. This stretch will decide the season in February. But I mean, if I feel good about whatever happens, honestly, because if they're making the playoffs, like you said, Coop's going off, doing what he's doing now, and honestly, I don't think we've talked enough about how Anthony Davis at the five has changed the team a lot too. Just the spacing on offense looks way more modern. I think he's way more game breaking on defense when he's able to guard centers as opposed to the corner shooter. He's not even contesting the corner shooter half the time, and he's like in a no man's land between the rim and the corner. I like him way better under the rim. He's just wrecking havoc. It really sucks that he got that Looney Tunes ass injury at the end of that Nets game where I don't even know. He like hit his calf on Max Christie's leg, like something stupid, and he's out. Hopefully not too long, but I didn't like that he didn't play after 2 days off and 2 days off after that game.
Yeah, that was definitely disheartening, but I think that they're being extra cautious given that he already has had a calf strain this season. The Mavericks have 7 more games this calendar year until January 1st. They played the Pistons on Thursday, then they play the 76ers, the Pelicans, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Kings, and the Trailblazers. So a lot of teams in that stretch that are around them in the standings, especially to end the year on that West Coast road trip with the Warriors, Kings, and Trailblazers. They're 10 and 17 right now, 27 games into this season. I absolutely don't think that it's too dramatic to say that this stretch of games is going to determine how the season goes. If they win all 7 of them, they'll be 500 on New Year's Day. I don't think that's going to happen. But even if they win 5 out of 7, they're 2 games under 500 on January 1st. That's not the worst place to be, considering that they got off to a 10 games under 500 start to this season.
Let's do the win-loss game. Go game by game, and we'll decide.
Okay, so Thursday they play the Pistons at home. Win or loss?
Loss.
Fazal?
Yeah, that's a loss.
I'm going loss as well. Okay, and then after that, on Saturday, they play the 76ers on the road as well.
Oh, man. Who's guarding Tyrese?
I'm going loss on that one. Philadelphia has always been a hard place for the Mavericks to play, and yeah.
I'm leaning loss because the Sixers have kind of picked it up this season. Not as miserable as they were at points last year.
Yeah, the Sixers have been good despite the fall off of the Mickey Mouse VJ Edgecombe first 2 weeks for the Rookie of the Year race. But I'll go Sixers too. Sorry, I just had to throw a jab.
No, it's fine. I'm glad it was Mickey Mouse. We got the Rookie of the Year on our team. Okay, the Mavericks are 0-2 thus far in our predictions. 5 more games to go.
The season is over.
It's not yet over. We still got 5 more games left in December. Like I said, 5 out of 7 means that they're 2 games under 500 on New Year's
All
Day.
right.
But next Monday, December 22nd, against the Pelicans on the road. I think that's a win. The Pelicans are awful.
Is this like our 7th game against the Pelicans this year?
It
At
feels
least third.
like it. It's a third game.
At least third or
game.
fourth. Obviously, it's only goes up to 4, but are you kidding me? What the fuck?
Hello, Rohan.
What up?
Am I being punked?
I just woke up. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
What the hell's going on?
Calm down, brother. Calm down, brother.
Well, shit. Welcome. We're going through. We're going
we're
through
playing win-loss game. We're playing the win-loss.
Pelicans is
Yeah,
a
we're
dub.
Yeah, that's a dub for
Dub.
sure. That's a dub.
Next game.
Next game, Mavericks play the Nuggets at home. That's the second night of a back-to-back on December 23rd. Win or loss?
If Aaron Gordon plays, that's a loss.
I don't know if he's coming back that soon.
Then that's a win. I just think Jokic is a really, really bad defender.
I'm gonna go loss. I assume they try to play basketball at that time.
Yeah, he is a terrible defender, but I mean, at least versus what the advanced stats say. But the Nuggets, they take shit personal. Jokic takes shit personal. Like he will try hard on this game.
Sorry, quick side tangent. There's nothing worse on basketball Twitter than when nerds try to say Jokic is a good defender using all these fucking numbers.
I know,
what about when nerds try to say
Nuggets play?
the garbage rookie using a bunch of statistics?
That was Put down the TI-84, buddy.
I tend to agree that's a loss. I don't think Lightning is going to strike twice and the Mavericks are going to beat the Nuggets twice in 1 month. I'd love to be wrong, but I just don't think it's going to happen. They're still a good team. Okay, after that, Christmas Day at the Warriors, win or loss?
You keep going and Cameron Boozer keeps coming closer. I'm going to go loss. I'm going to go loss.
Yeah, I'm going loss as well. I think the moment's too big for the Mavericks.
I actually, wait, did I say win against the Nuggets?
No, you
said if Aaron Gordon didn't play.
Okay, I'm willing to consider that one a loss because I think they'll be playing for something because they kind of feel embarrassed for losing to us, and I would understand it. Warriors, I think that's a sneaky win. Steph Curry will probably bury us, but I have a shred of hope. Like Christmas Day games, Cooper's motor is fucking crazy, man, and he's been on a tear. I just see him having one game where he just does something insane. and we win a game that we didn't think was possible. Also, the Warriors are very beatable right now. This
They
version of the
are.
Warriors is like the most beatable version of
Dude,
maybe ever seen with Steph Curry.
I can already see that Christmas game with Draymond getting away with UFC moves on Cooper all night.
I don't know. I agree with you, Rohan. I do have a shred of hope for that game, and the Warriors are very beatable too.
All right,
They're not.
all right, make it a W. Make it a W.
No, I'm not because Steph Curry sees the Maverick uniform and just goes
MFFL,
nuts.
make it a W.
No, I'm not.
MFFL, make
I
it a
mean,
W.
personally, I actually agree with the sneaky win, so we might be split
3
2-2
out of
on
4.
this.
That's a majority. No, it's 3 out of 4. Go
Okay,
W.
okay.
That's a
Are
W.
you saying win too, Vinay?
No, I'm not. But y'all did. Y'all
It's
did.
not-
So it's 3 out of 4. Majority rules.
No. I said it's a loss. It's 2 out of 4. But okay,
Go
fine.
win. MFFL. MFFL.
If they lose, all right. If they lose, they're now 1-4 in that stretch. If they win, they're 2-3. So
Okay.
we'll come back to that one. Okay, so after that, December 27th at Sacramento, win or loss. I'm gonna go win. I think we can beat them.
Big
I
dub,
think we
big
could beat
dub.
the Kings.
Dear God, I hope that we can beat the
That's tough though to deal with Vivek or a courtside going into that place.
And we beat them in the play-in game. At that point, I think we own them.
Oh, shoot. I forgot about that. Yeah, I'll go win. I don't even know what they're building over there.
They're building some nice restaurants near the arena, is what I hear.
can't make the playoffs. That's what they're doing.
All right, finally, last game of 2025. Mavericks at Trailblazers, win or loss.
Did we beat the Blazers last time we played them?
We did. I'm willing to call it on another win.
I think the Trailblazers are like a play-in territory team. Honestly, like if Denny Avdia has, not really a player that I love, but he's been playing significantly better, and there's been a lot of chatter that he's like, their biggest piece. And when we did play them earlier in the season, granted the Mavericks looked very, very different. But when we did play them, they looked like their offense was significantly more structured than it has been in recent years. And it's just a test of the Mavs defense. Like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna give the Trailblazers like a sneaky win there.
Dude,
I
he's
think-
huge on the sneaky wins.
You
I'm
said
going.
Sorry, go ahead, Vinay.
He said Rohan said
Okay.
Blazers. Fazil said. Did he say?
I said Mavs.
I'm gonna go Mavs.
I'm gonna go Mavs too. I do agree with Rohan. It's gonna be a test of their defense because I think
Is that New Year's Eve?
December 29th. Then they don't play until
Okay.
January 1st.
Is that at home?
No, it's on the road. They in these last 7 games of 2025, they played 2 home games, and that's to be expected given that they were playing like every game at home at the beginning of the season. But I think I'll also go win. I do agree with Roman. It's going to be a test of their defense because Portland can score a lot, and the Mavericks are going to have to find ways to slow down how they play in transition and obviously slow down Denny Avdia. And I think the Trailblazers have been playing a little bit better since Chauncey Billups got arrested. But
Why are you all laughing?
it's just funny.
It's just the way you said that.
I was going to
and what
say
you
fired,
said.
and then I remembered he didn't actually get fired. He just got arrested.
I'm actually going over to his house to play poker later. Wish me luck.
Good luck, buddy.
Cash Patel will be waiting for you there.
He will not be able to find me based on how the FBI does their searches lately.
That's
Sorry.
a good point. But yeah, I mean, the Trailblazers are in the same tier as the Mavericks, I think, but I'll give them the win. So let's go down the list again. Pistons, Mavericks, I think we all agreed that was going to be a loss. 76ers, Mavericks, I think we also agreed that was a loss. Mavericks, Pelicans, win. Nuggets, Mavericks, loss. So now in that stretch, they're 1-3. Mavericks, Warriors, we were kind of split on that, but let's say that they get the win there. 2-3.
I'm just telling y'all right now, we're not going to win that game.
I don't think we are
Gonna
either.
Draymond's going to get away with the UFC shit on Cooper. I'm just
Listen,
letting you know that.
I went to the Mavericks Warriors NBA Cup game last season, and the Mavericks were up by 7 with 4 minutes left in the game, and Steph Curry just went ballistic, and that he tends to do that against the Mavericks. So I have a hard time seeing them win that game, but for argument's sake, let's say that they win.
But I will say Anthony Davis does usually do well against the Warriors, so he
That
better
is
play.
true. That's a good point.
And I'm going to say that, and Quentin Post is going to lock him up just because I said that. But
That's never gonna happen, bro. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I have a little more faith in Anthony Davis on offense than that. Like, I don't think Quentin Post is gonna lock him down.
no, I don't. I don't need that.
All right, we'll say that's a win. I don't believe that, but let's say that it is for the sake of the argument. So that's 2 and 3.
MFFL baby.
Mavericks Kings, we said that's going to be a win, and then Mavericks Trailblazers, we said that's going to be a win. So that's 4 and 3 over the last 7 games of the season. That would mean the Mavericks go into the new year at 14 and 20, 6 games under 500. They gain 1 game. Not drastically different position than they are in right now.
We're not gonna learn shit.
I mean,
That's what's gonna happen.
You take 4 and 3 in that stretch. Okay, so let's extrapolate that to 10 games, right? Let's say they go 4 and 3 and we go 3 games back. So Utah they lost, Brooklyn they won, Houston they won. So you add a 2 and 1 record to that 4 and 3 record. That's 6 and 4 over their last 10 games of the 2025 calendar year. That's not bad. And obviously there's some caveats with the Rockets missing Şengün. But that's not.
It's a good stretch. I mean,
Yeah, you can
objectively,
feel
it's
good
been a
about
good
it.
stretch
You
of
can feel good
basketball.
about
It's been
it,
a good
yeah.
stretch of basketball for sure. But they also do have to they've been behind the 8 ball because they went off to such a bad start when the NBA gave you a fucking layup with an easy schedule that they decided to lose all those games. But that's whatever at this point. So, damn, when you go through that exercise, I feel like we're not going to learn a lot after this month. It almost is going to feel like we're in the same position. Do we tank or do we go for it?
Well, I think the point I'm trying to make is that I don't think you can look at the total record to determine where they're at. I think you have to look at the trends and the trends of that sample size, whether it's the last 10 games, the last 15 games, plus maybe the first 10 games of 2026. Because obviously the Mavericks got off to a 5-15 start in the season, so they're
Damn.
already playing from behind. But obviously a lot of that happened under different circumstances when Cooper Flagg was playing point guard, when Ryan Nembhard wasn't in the rotation. So a lot has changed since then, when AD was still injured. So I think you have to kind of look at the sample size, see how things are trending, and then obviously you're going to get Kyrie Irving back. And so let's say that in those 10 games, they're 6 and 4. Maybe let's extrapolate it to 15 games, and they're, I don't know, 9 and 6, 10 and 5. That's got to give you a little bit of optimism leading up to Kyrie's return, right? So I think, in a sense, the Mavericks are still going to be evaluating their roster no matter what. But as fans, I think a 10 and 5 stretch would tell me like, okay, when you get Kyrie back, you can really compete. But at the same time, if they get good offers for their players, like I feel like you need to look at that as well.
I mean, if it's a win rate of 60% or above in that stretch that you're describing, I think that it's fantastic. My worry is honestly, I don't know, that overtime loss in Utah honestly took the wind out of my sails a little bit with how they were able to force overtime very well. It was a great Cooper game. You did it without AD, but then not being able to compete in overtime, kind of being gassed. And the offense just not coming, like not being able to get yourself easy shots, buckets not going down. Against that team, I mean, I just don't know that you're going to go 10 and 5, right? Or 9 and 6. If you're way closer to 500, I think the Mavs are in a position where AD is has less trade interest for whatever reason, especially if he's not back in soon. And then we're just waiting for Kyrie to come in. But I'm going to be honest, when Kyrie comes in, and if this team is not like at 500 or like damn near it, right? Like 4 games is not really, or 6 games you said, right? Is not really enough for me. 5 or 6 games below 500 is still pretty bad. Not as bad as where they started, but like I don't think Kyrie is changing the winning pace to the I don't think they're gonna drum off 10 wins in a row once he comes back, you know? That's what it would really take. I feel.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I think it just determines whether you feel like you want to potentially ride this core into next season and see what they can do, or if you just want to aggressively shop some of your players or aggressively try to trade them. But I think bottom line is the Mavericks are not just going to trade guys for the sake of doing it. Like they understand that they're in a position right now where they have to get assets, and if they get assets in a trade, like they'll do it. But if they're not getting anything of value for them, I don't know how much sense it makes. And obviously cap relief is a form of assets that they need right now too. So there's a lot to consider going into the trade deadline. There's not really like a one size fits all approach here. And the more I talk about it, the more confused I get, honestly, because you have to balance getting cap relief, you have to balance getting future assets, and you also have to balance potentially competing with this roster and adding to it when the time comes if it proves to be effective.
I do think though the silver lining here is them at least competing and staying in these games and AD having, solid stat lines does make that more possible. Like I would rather they win than what we were talking about like a month or two ago, which was like just sell off of guys in order to get assets, bring yourself underneath the second apron, and like maybe trade to even make it harder to win games. This is significantly better than that. I think you can get better return, especially when it comes to future prospects. I don't know about draft picks. I have been on the record as saying I don't think AD is netting you the draft picks you need unless you wait until the offseason to trade him. That being said, none of us know, but you're right, Jay. They have to really thread a needle, but winning will solve all those problems as well. Unless, of course, they start winning and they decide, oh, let's keep Anthony Davis and be a second apron, I don't know, 9 seed in the play-in. That would be fucking disaster, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, as we said, they've got to find ways to shed some money this trade deadline or going into next season. Like that has to be a priority. But I don't know. It's just hard to see where those deals are coming from at this point. But who knows? I think a lot of teams are in a similar boat where they're still evaluating their rosters. But at some point, teams will decide whether they want to be buyers at the trade deadline or whether they want to be sellers at the trade deadline. And that'll kind of determine the Mavericks' position in that market. If there's a lot of sellers, I think it's if there's a lot of buyers, I think that it'll probably be good for the Mavericks. That they'll get offers for them. But if there's a lot of sellers, then I think it might kind of sort of depress what they could get for their players, and so that's what we have to see. Right now, I think that we're in a market where there could be a lot of buyers at the trade deadline because, as Vinay mentioned kind of earlier in the stream, the West is a little bit weaker than it has been in previous years. And the East has always been weak, but there's a few teams that I think are really looking to separate themselves and solidify themselves as championship contenders, whether it's the Pistons, the Hawks, the Raptors, right? Whether that's related to AD, whether that's related to other players, I think you put all those teams in a pool. There do figure to be some buyers, but the next month and a half will be very telling as to whether that still is the case then or not.
Yeah, if there's a lot of sellers thing, I still have a little bit of optimism just because of all of the trade rumors that we've heard from other teams across the league. I haven't heard any big that can play while healthy the way that Anthony Davis can. Right, you're seeing a lot of LaMelo Ball. You're seeing a lot of Ja Morant. You're seeing a lot of guards being talked about like, hey, these guys need to be moved. I really haven't seen one big that is like significantly more playable than Anthony Davis, which I think is heartening going into the trade deadline, regardless of where everyone else in the league is.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about with Anthony Davis, there's a lot to consider with him outside of just the on-court fit. And unfortunately, that tends to dominate the narrative around him, whether it's the injuries, whether it's the contract situation. His play is almost kind of an afterthought, which sucks because I think he's very effective when he is playing. The issue is that, he's
Say
not
that again?
always playing. No, he's very effective when he's playing.
I just wanted to get you on record of positive Anthony Davis commentary.
I've been on record. He's looked good since
We
he's
got
come back
you.
from the injury.
We got you.
But the sad reality of it is that he's never been able to play more than 5 consecutive games with the Mavericks. Like, no team is training for that. That's just a fact of the matter. He's got to play like 10, 15 consecutive games before teams can convince themselves that this guy is going to change the trajectory of the next few years for them. Otherwise, it's just so hard to see any market developing for him.
Yeah, I've had conversations with some friends about this recently, and I just don't see, and Vinay and I have talked about it in the past, but yeah, that 5 game stretch thing is like, I don't think he can contribute to a playoff run with what we've seen with him in a Mavericks uniform right now. It doesn't matter what numbers he puts up, he's not available. There's that. Then there's the whole Lively being out, Gafford, Musa Cisse situation. If you're not trading AD, what the hell are you doing this season to get yourself under the second apron? I guess we'll see, but
They can do it without trading AD though. It'd
Yeah,
have to be someone else.
okay, but let's say you trade Gafford, right? Because none of us want to trade Najee, and PJ's not eligible to be traded, right? Who's on the team that we would like traded? Caleb Martin, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Davis, maybe Daniel Gafford.
You need
A-
trade override in 2K for the first two names.
Yeah, no, very true. But those are the guys that you want off your team for various reasons, right? Like my whole issue is like Lively being injured makes this a lot difficult of a thread or of a needle to thread. You know what I mean? Like it makes it harder to thread the needle. Like Jay said, that there is an order of operations that needs to happen. There's a lot that this team needs. Luckily, Cooper Flagg is like one of the easiest rookies we've ever seen to build around. So, I mean, they could theoretically do anything and probably still end up with a similar result.
He's also on arguably the best contract in the NBA too, just because of the rookie numbers and all
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That also helps you when you're in salary cap hell. And I think they can get out of this with competent general managing. I don't know if necessarily Finley and Riccardi are going to be the guys going forward for that, but a competent GM can deal with the situation building around Cooper Flag in spite of the lack of draft assets, just figuring out the cap situation. Like, come
Yeah, I
on.
mean, I think Gafford is probably going to be the first to be traded. And maybe we see an AD trade this season, maybe we don't. And obviously, once the offseason hits, PJ is trade eligible. I think that, this recent stretch has shown that you have to explore that as well. I mean, I love PJ. I hope he sticks around, but I also I'm not married to him either. And I think that they would get a lot of strong offers for PJ Washington. That's another way for them to reduce their payroll to potentially look towards the future. So this sort of process to shed salary, get under the aprons, get more flexibility, it may not be achieved at this trade deadline. It may go into the summer as well. And that's okay too, as long as I think we see that they're taking strides in that direction.
No matter what, just don't trade Anthony Davis for a Davis Bertans. We don't need.
That's a good
They
call.
can't do that again. Yeah, that's very true. It doesn't seem like the Mavericks are going to do that, which is the right course of action.
Like I said earlier in the pod, whatever they do with AD is going to be one of the most important things they do in the Cooper Flag build. They cannot mess it up. They can't trade him too early, and they can't trade him too late. They have to trade it at the right time for the right package. You cannot mess that up.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good punctuation for this episode. We're, in an hour and 13 minutes now. Obviously, Rohan, we got you late, but it was good having you. Any closing thoughts for you guys before we end the stream?
I just have one question because it was on my mind when we were doing the thought exercise on how the Mavs are going to close out 2025. What did you guys think the Mavs' health is going to be in these games? Like, are we going to have a mostly full roster, or are we going to be running something closer to a skeleton crew like last night, or what? Because I was somewhere in the middle on that. I mean, I kind of assumed the further we went along, the healthier the team got, but it's tough to say. I think that really probably is the only thing that defines the stretch of games.
It's so hard to say, but I just feel like it's just going to be more of the same with some guys in, some guys out. It's at this point I've given up on building any sort of continuity. I'll put it that way.
Well, yeah, the team is built around Anthony Davis, so by definition, you can have continuity. Um, Yeah, I don't I think what we were talking about 15 games, I think that also counted a little bit in January. But like if Anthony Davis isn't playing half of those games, like I'm not optimistic at all. This team is unfortunately built around him, right? So, you do what you can. I'm just hoping he gets well soon and he's able to put together like a 10 game stretch. If he can put together a 10 game stretch, I'm like, okay, okay. You know what? Eastern Conference teams might call. They might call.
I think we all need to be rooting for the Toronto Raptors from here until the trade deadline. Because the better that they do, the more confidence they get, and the more inclined they might be to trade for Anthony Davis. Because outside of them, I really don't see any other team in the league that could, be interested in AD.
I feel not very certain, but I feel pretty certain that he's not going to be traded because of the lack of suitors.
Yeah.
Whatever happens from there happens from there.
Well, as someone once said, time will tell if I'm right, or time will tell if you're right, rather.
Fuck off.
All right. With that, I think that's a good closing. So, guys, appreciate you as always, Rohan, Vinay, Fazil. Thanks everyone who tuned in and watched us for even 1 second. We appreciate your support, and for those who stuck around until the end, a sincere thank you to you. We'll be back with another stream in the near future. Not sure when, but obviously the Mavericks got a big game coming up this Thursday against the Pistons. And then it's the March until the new year. So keep it here at Mavs Film Room. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Mavs Film Room, and we'll